Hello, everybody. This is Donna Anderson, and I'm author of lovefraud.com. And today I'm with Megan Lyons. Megan is an attorney in Florida, and she's going to be presenting our next Love Fraud Continuing Education program called Obtaining Injunctions Against the Sociopath. So welcome, Megan. I'm so glad to see you again.
Thank you. Thanks.
Great. Okay. So what are some of the situations that your clients have encountered that have made it so that they want to get a restraining order against somebody?
Generally, it can be any situation in which they feel threatened, they feel that their life is at risk or in danger, physical harm. It can extend to emotional, psychological harm. If they're being manipulated mentally, they will try to get an injunction of some sort. There's a lot of cyber harassment and cyber stalking now, and harassment that could extend to their business or to third parties. So that's also becoming really popular in the courts, and a very good reason for somebody to seek injunctive relief.
Okay, so how can an injunction help somebody?
If they are able to obtain one, and generally here in Florida, and the process works differently depending on which jurisdiction you're in, there's almost across the board a temporary injunction that's always issued, and courts do that to err on the side of caution. And then within, usually it's like 5 days, sometimes longer, there'll be a more comprehensive hearing, an evidentiary hearing that's required with testimony, witnesses, things like that, that will be sometimes required in order for a judge to issue any sort of injunction with permanency. So, and again, different states have different requirements, but if they're able to get one entered, it's great for them, because depending on the terms, they can have relief as far as communication goes with their adversary or whomever is communicating with them in a hostile way. I've seen them drafted very differently. Sometimes there can be a non-hostile communication. Let's say if they have children involved, well, they may need to speak regarding the children. However, any communication that is outside of the content of the child has to be non-hostile. So it can't be threatening, there can't be any harassing or name calling within their communications. They may need to communicate with an app or software that the judge can monitor. So there's kind of creative ways now that these injunctions can be entered. They can limit contact physically within 500 feet. It can extend to somebody's home or work. So that's helpful. And now what I'm seeing more recently are the injunctions with content that applies to the internet. So no social media harassment, no third-party harassment, using apps and things, because people get creative if they really want to get in touch with somebody. So a really good injunction will include all of those sort of mediums.
Okay, so is it more difficult to get an injunction against somebody who is a sociopath or has some other kind of cluster B disorder?
Yes, it is much more difficult, because typically, and again, it depends on how much evidence there is to support the injunction. But if we're dealing with a really crafty and cunning person who does not necessarily have a paper trail to illustrate their tactics, then it would be much more difficult to obtain this relief, because they may be operating in a covert fashion in which they're manipulative, mind manipulative, and they're not leaving necessarily a trail of evidence that can be used in court. So typically, because of that, and because of sometimes the nature of the abuse is of the mind and of the emotions, it's not necessarily going to manifest itself in the physical. So because of that, it becomes much more difficult. And not only that, but the judges aren't recognizing mind manipulation, mind control, brainwashing, gaslighting, these sort of cluster B terms as harmful at this juncture.
So you're saying they don't recognize those terms as harmful?
For the most part, no.
No. Okay.
They're looking for clear and convincing signs of physical abuse. They're looking for, evidence of that. Did you get punched in the face? Where's your black eye? Things like that.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm looking forward so much to your program, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Donna.
All righty.